Welcome to the September 4th operations brief. I'm Dave Martinez, Plant Section Chief. It's my last day, and we're actually going to see quite a few new faces in the plant section. I'll be demobbing, John Russell, our SID, will be demobbing, and so will Mike, our demob and SAS check-in guy. So you'll be seeing a few different faces out there, but you've got some good and probably better people coming in behind us. So with that, our objectives for the day have not changed. Our incident objectives remain the same. So we'll move on to weather with Chris.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Chris McKinney with the weather update this morning. Taking a look at the infrared satellite this morning, we'll see a couple areas of precipitation. Still seeing some showers and thunderstorms along the upper Gulf Coast there of Texas. Plenty of Gulf moisture moving into southeast Texas today, as we've seen over the past several days. And then the kind of upper and mid-level moisture plume there across West Texas, which fed a lot of precipitation yesterday evening and overnight to the west and northwest of the San Antonio metro area, where some locations saw several inches of rain yesterday evening, and a wide area of light to moderate rain persists there overnight. And then just a point of interest here off to the edge of the screen there, that's Tropical Storm Gordon, which we'll talk about here a little bit later. So again, weather pattern remains unchanged with the high off to the east, the upper level trough axis off to the west, allowing those little disturbances to move over the state and bring rounds of showers and thunderstorms to much of the region. Taking a look at the radar loop, again, you can see the stuff off of the upper Texas coast. This is that area of light to moderate rainfall which has persisted for much of the night over portions of northern South Branch and then feeding northward across the state. And this area here and then along I-10 will be the two primary areas for precipitation during the day today. Taking a look at our lightning activity over the last 12 hours, again, much of it associated in South Branch there with the precipitation yesterday evening near San Antonio. Looking at the rainfall totals over the last 24 hours, really two areas of interest. The first one occurred yesterday morning along the upper Texas coast. We had a persistent area of deep tropical moisture feeding showers and thunderstorms. Saw some significant street flooding in portions of Galveston and along Galveston Island yesterday, and also southeast of Houston. And then again, you can see west of San Antonio there, the rainfall overnight. And then just on the northwest side of the San Antonio metro area there, some significant flood impacts from a storm that sat over that area for several hours. Looking at the past 14 days, this doesn't include most of what I just showed you, but again, you can see from the night before filling in some of the rainfall there across South Branch and in Branch in the areas that were critically dry. And looking at percent of normal now, again, you can see some improvement across this area here, eroding some of this area that's only in the 5 to 10% of normal for the last 2 weeks. So again, still not getting up into North Texas as much as we'd like, but some significant improvements for portions of South and West Branch yesterday. So highlights again, today and tomorrow, much of the same. We'll see these weak disturbances going around that upper level trough, kicking off showers and thunderstorms. Most of them are going to be diurnally driven, which means they'll pop up during the heat of the day, and a lot of the activity will die off overnight for much of the state. Best chances today will be a little bit further west and then moving towards the I-35 corridor tomorrow. And then as we get into late in the week, see what happens with Tropical Storm Gordon and also a weak cold front which is going to come down into North Texas. The combination of those two plus the moisture we already have should lead to widespread rain for Friday into Saturday for portions of North Texas. Looking at the weather chart again, we see our high off to the east, the upper level trough to the west, leading to widespread showers and thunderstorms across the state today. And there is Tropical Storm Gordon, which is moving to the northwest and expected to make landfall later today as a weak Category 1 hurricane. High temperatures today, much as we saw yesterday, maybe about 2 to 4 degrees warmer, a couple degrees warmer where we're still seeing the rainfall areas, but if you do see a little bit of sun, maybe a little less shower activity today, those areas could see 4 to 5 degrees warmer and get up into the low 90s, but most of us will be in the upper 80s. But again, anybody going down into South Branch, you'll see afternoon highs in the mid to upper 90s and heat index values from 105 to 108 degrees. So there are still parts of the state that are rather dry and are still in a more summertime pattern. Looking at minimum RHs, again, most of the state is above 50%, having to get into far South Texas or far West Texas to get into the 30s this afternoon. Winds, much as we've seen all week, southeast to south, generally anywhere from 6 to 12 miles per hour. Could see some stronger gusts to 15 in the Panhandle, and then again, far south Texas remains rather windy. Some gusts 15 to 25 miles an hour, 15 to 20 miles an hour this afternoon. Rainfall and thunderstorm chances again, generally 60 to 80% along the I-10 corridor, north from San Antonio, Uvalde area up towards Wichita Falls, more like 50 to 60%. These are the areas that will have the best chances for rain today, but we could see a shower or thunderstorm across most of the state. Only maybe the deep southern extent, lower Rio Grande Valley of South Branch is probably the only area that might not see anything today. Here's an example of what one model thinks the radar may look like at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Again, showing that corridor of showers and thunderstorms that we talked about, the activity in the northern Gulf. And there's Tropical Storm Gordon moving inland towards the Mississippi and southeast Louisiana coast. Rainfall total forecast for the next 24 hours, again, highest along the Gulf Coast there, and then generally anywhere from a half to maybe 3/4 of an inch of precipitation across this north-south axis. Looking at the tropical outlook, we do have a few things. Gordon is the primary feature of interest. Florence is still offshore, expected to remain offshore and not be a threat to the U.S. And then we are watching another system that's moved off the west coast of Africa. Looks like it now has a 70% into a tropical depression or tropical storm over the next 5 days. Again, forming this far east, it's something to watch, but the chances for it to turn off to the north and remain in the open ocean are still pretty good. So no imminent threats to the state other than whatever Gordon does later this week. Here's the current forecast track for Tropical Storm Gordon. Again, expected to strengthen into a hurricane later today, just before making landfall, probably sometime just before midnight tonight in southern Louisiana or southern Mississippi, and then tracking off to the north-northwest. The track has shifted just a little bit to the east and a little bit to the north, so direct impacts to the state are unlikely. Again, what we're looking for is what that moisture is going to do as it dissipates across portions of Arkansas later on this week, Thursday into Friday. And so with that, you'll see those higher precipitation totals over the next week have shifted further to the north and to the east, but still portions of northeast Texas could see anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rainfall over the next 7 days, depending on what the front does and what that precipitation, the moisture from Gordon does. And then also a wide area of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall here across portions of South Branch up towards Wichita Falls. And that's all I have for weather today.
Well, good morning, Les Rogers in operations. No activity across the state yesterday, and we anticipate it's going to be a similar day today. We are looking at maybe pre-positioning or moving strike team 44. We'll get with 44 a little bit later on that, possibly moving them a little bit further south, but we're waiting to talk to the A chief down there and see what's going on. As far as the rest of the lineup, all the 204s have been corrected. If you see any changes to that, either call Ashley or Jason and we'll get those corrected. Thanks. Have a good day.
Morning, John McGee, safety. No fires, no accidents, no injuries, none serious or minor. So we continue to pay attention to the basics, and I commend you all for doing that. Heard the weather while we all watch. The drama with the weather is what it's going to do. Those of you in staging areas, you're going to be fighting complacency, boredom, and what have you. So I again encourage you to use your time wisely. A lot of you are. You're using it for chainsaw safety training. A couple of you have practiced the medical incident report. For those of you who haven't, the message in the IAP today is a little bit more detail about the medical incident report. So I encourage you to practice it. You never know when somebody's going to need that. Okay. Today, it's going to be raining over most of the state. The risk you'll probably be facing most will be driving. Whether you're going to be driving to a fire, driving to lunch, driving to your motel, or just driving anywhere. So pay attention to your driving. Those light rains can be dangerous on the highways just as much as a heavy rain can as well. So keep that in mind. Keep your situational awareness dialed up. Those of you down Uvalde, Smithville, Beeville, you could still have a fire down there in southern part of Texas. So if you roll out there, don't take these little fires for routine. No fire is routine. Pay attention to the basics, install LCES, and do what you need to do down there. Keep an eye on each other. We'll all be back again tomorrow.
Well, just to wrap things up, as y'all know, we're kind of right-sizing, and so the right-sizing means that we're holding on to the resources that we have. We're not recrewing or backfilling a lot that are timing out, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll start to see what this weather either is going to do or not do to help us, and so we'll be reevaluating that with all the branch folks out there. With that, John talked a lot about driving. Just make sure that as we're staging out here, we don't drive each other crazy, and make sure that y'all find productive things for y'all to do out there. With that, expect the unexpected. You know, we hear be safe all the time, but expect the unexpected. Thanks.
All right, that wraps up our operational brief for today. Thank y'all for coming, and we'll see y'all on another rainy day, I hope.